Beer Cartel, Rich, why don't you introduce yourself and I guess what the Beer Cartel is and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Richard Kelsey from Beer Cartel. We started in 2009 and we sell craft beer and 100% craft beer. We started way back then and we had a little wee Kennard storage shed in the wine storage area of Kennard, so it was absolutely tiny, like that big. We were online originally. This was before Dan Murphy's was even online. And our aim was, both myself and Jeff, my business partner, we had a real passion for craft beer. We wanted to share it with other people and to show what amazing beers are out there. But it was challenging because the Australian craft beer industry was really, really young. There was basically no beers about anywhere, but we started off with a monthly beer subscription, and then around about 3 years later we got our first store and sort of grew that, and then during that whole time our big focus was about growing online as well.
Got you. So what got you into craft beer? You know, it's quite a unique space.
Yeah, well, the very first job I did out of university was for a small craft brewery in New Zealand. So I had done a marketing degree, specialising in market research, and I got paid in beer, and bloody good beer too. So, yeah, I wanted to share that passion for great beer with other people, really.
Understood. I mean, look, I've personally been out to the store, and you know the number of different beers and kind of the unique blends that are there are quite amazing, and it's a bit of a journey of discovery. But I guess with all that SKU complexity, I mean, you know, there's so much noise in the industry. You see the likes of sort of Vino Mofo, you see Dan Murphy's obviously upping their game, but obviously the long tail of kind of boutique beer and kind of that whole space. I mean, how do you really cut through all the noise in the industry, and how do you differentiate yourself?
Yeah, so it's funny. So craft beer accounts for about 5% of the beer market in Australia, and you've got Dan Murphy's and BWS, and there's about 90% of customers that actually buy from them. So it's a tough industry to actually to operate in, and our big thing is all about sort of educating people and taking people onto a journey into the world of craft beer and showcasing what there is that's out there and teaching them along the way.
Gotcha. And just give us an idea of numbers, I guess, you know, how big is the business now and how's that grown over the last few years? I mean...
Yeah, sure. So...
what are you comfortable with?
Yeah, so multi-million-dollar. We have around about 1,000 different beers at any one stage in store and online. And across the course of a year, we rotate through about 1,000 different beers. So there's always new beers coming. We have like 20 to 30 different beers each week. So lots of tasting to be done.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So you talked a little bit about education, obviously educating on the 1,000 different beers that you have. I guess, how do you engage with your customers and how do you really become that kind of thought leader in the industry?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways that we've done it. Facebook Live videos, they only really started about 2 years ago, and they're a great way to actually cut through, especially on Facebook, because Facebook prioritises video compared to images. So that's a great way. The other thing that we did for the first time last year was we launched the Australian Craft Beer Survey. And so that used my experiences as in market research. So when I moved to Australia, my first job over here was market research, and I did it for 7 years. And our idea there was to become a thought leader, to get press, to get links to our site, and to also grow our database. And what we did was we actually partnered with all the different breweries throughout Australia, and we said, if you promote the survey, we'll give you a custom report that then looks at your own database. And so that has just grown our database hugely. So last year we did it for the first time. We had 6,500 people complete the survey. This year, 17,000. And that's just massive. Like in market research, normally you get about 1,000 or 2,000 people complete a survey, and you have to pay heaps for it, and it's hard work. But we had thousands and thousands of people that wanted to take part, and all we had to offer was a prize of $500 for craft beer as the winning prize.
So I guess the beer economy really does work, right?
Absolutely.
What would you say, I guess, obviously inspiring, you've got a two-sided marketplace in that way. You've got the breweries and you've got your customer. How do you kind of inspire the breweries in a sense? I mean, you mentioned, access to data, but it was really, was that all it was, really access to data?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very small industry, and breweries don't know anything like that. They're just gagging for information. And so we went out and said, we can give you this. Get to know who your audience actually is. So gender, age, what income, how often they go to breweries, to bars, to bottle shops, what are their favourite styles of beer, and sort of went from there. So it was very good. And just in the last couple of weeks, there's been a couple of breweries that have been bought by big guys in town. So Coca-Cola bought one brewery, and the other one was bought by Boston's. And it's been interesting because every time there's been media about it, they've then also talked about our survey. So it's been brilliant.
There you go. I mean, I know a lot of business owners tend to fear surveys. They're kind of a double-edged sword. Sometimes you don't want to send too many out. Sometimes, you kind of do. And kind of balancing that, but I guess it does really pay dividends. What kind of tips would you give to the audience here, I guess, in terms of what types of surveys to send to their customer base and how to think through what their customer research opportunity is?
Yeah, I'd say one thing is keep it short. People don't want to spend ages and ages doing it. Make it really easy to answer, so it's not ones where people actually have to write an essay or write a lot of information in. Make it really simple. Make it something that people actually find quite interesting to take part in. So the brilliant thing about ours was, I think around about 90% of people that actually attempted the survey went through and completed it. In your traditional market research, you're around about 10 or 20%. So if you make it interesting, people will do it.
That's a great tip. So shifting gears a little bit, so you've got this survey out there, you're kind of generating a bit of buzz around it. How do you convert that to business? How does that kind of come to the fore?
Yeah, so one of the things was that anyone in the survey, they then went directly onto our database. So we used SurveyMonkey was the platform that we actually did the survey with, and then we had a Zapier zap that then zapped it into MailChimp. So immediately they went onto our database. We then rewarded them with a discount voucher. So then people were using that, and then we straight away had a welcome series to say, "G'day, this is who we are, this is what we do. We'd love to have you. We're very grateful to have you as part of the community."
Got you. Wow. So, you mentioned three tools there, SurveyMonkey into Zapier, Zapier into MailChimp. Those are SaaS businesses, easy to use. We use them in our business as well. I mean, how long did all that take you to set up?
First time probably a while.
Yeah.
It takes a little while to get your head around it, but things like Zapier is pretty damn simple. So, yeah, it's just a matter of going, okay, this goes to that.
Gotcha. Wow, well done. And then I guess, we're kind of nearing the end of the year and there's a few things going on. I know you guys are quite famous for, a little bit of a kind of marketing drive toward the end of the year. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I guess with any business, it's all about sort of innovation and working out different ways, as Dean sort of alluded to, different ways that you can sort of stand out in the market. And so last year, what we did was we actually created a Advent beer box. So if anyone knows about Advent calendars, you have your countdown to Christmas and you open your little Advent calendar and you get a chocolate every day in the run to Christmas. And so we've done the same thing with beer. And yeah, it was a simple thing, but people just love it. They go absolutely crazy. And every time you tell someone about it, they just go, wow, that's awesome. And so, yeah, we started last year. We thought we'd sell, for us, a couple of hundred. It went through the roof, and every day we're struggling to keep up with demand. We had to keep putting it out of stock because we didn't have enough. And then this year, our aim is to sort of increase by 5 times what we did last year. So, yeah.
Wow. So I guess, we've kind of an ambition to grow that part of the business by 5. what are your tips and tactics to actually scale your processes and kind of scale yourself as well and the business to handle that volume?
Yeah, I think systemization's massive. So we have an intranet, and every day we're building up the intranet. So we had the concept, if you have to do something more than once, then you need to create a process for it, document that, and so that anyone can then do it. It relieves you from stress, it allows other people to do it, it gives you time off. So yeah, having an intranet that's a place to go that people can actually access is massive. Just use Google Sites. It doesn't cost you anything, and it's really simple. So the main one is systemization, then automation. Use those two things.
Awesome. Mate, just reflecting on your journey, I guess, is there anything that you think has really created the difference for your business, outside of surveys and systematization? I mean, what are the key tactics or tips you could kind of impart on the audience here about, their own journeys and breaking through that next level of growth?
I think it's, so there's innovation, so always think about what you can do next. Education, keep learning. There's so much to learn, and you'll never ever get to the top of your game. And then just systemizing. You get those three things, and you'll be doing all right.
Fantastic. Mate, thank you very much. Everyone give us a round of applause for Richard. Thank you for sharing your story, mate. Cheers.